Today's episode is brought to you by shop.mrcolionnoir.com. Shop.mrcolionnoir.com is the place for all of your two-way apparel needs, with designs like Am the Militia, Keep Texas Tactical, and I lost all my guns in a boating accident. You can show your two-way pride while looking good doing it, and even converting some folks along the way. So head over to shop.mrcolionnoir.com and grab your two-way merch today. There are two times where I've legitimately been starstruck. The first time, I was walking to a club in downtown Houston, and as I was walking up to the crosswalk, I see Kobe Bryant casually walking across the street by himself at 11:30 at night. The second time, I was standing outside of a bar, and standing right behind me was the singer Ashanti. It wasn't so much that it was Ashanti, but more of the fact that she was so damn sexy in person. I mean, she's just thick and juicy. It was slightly overwhelming. So, what does that have to do with me talking to Garand about being a two-way social media influencer? Well, not much. I just wanted an excuse to gush over Ashanti out loud and say, Ashanti, if you're listening to this, don't be afraid to slide in my DMs. We can go shoot some guns, come back to my place for a drink, and then you'll never hear from me again. But I promise you, you'll have a lot of fun. Anyway, on to episode 2 with Garand. Oh, and one more thing. Something happened during the recording of this conversation where I had some interference. There was some clicking, some static. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I just want to apologize beforehand in case you're wondering what that kind of weird noise is going on in the background or when I clip in or clip out. But yeah, sometimes things just happen, folks, but the show must go on. Garand, I don't think you really need an introduction, do you?
No, I think we're
pretty good. I mean, feel free though. Like if you want to give us your social, blood type, all that stuff. You're more than welcome to do that. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people fiending for all that information.
Just O positive like everybody else. Nothing really special about me. But let's no need for introduction. Let's get into it, dude.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's social media, right? I know a lot of people are going to be like, man, I thought they were going to go in here and talk about the Mark 18. No, we're going to talk about social media. Next time,
get into it.
Yeah, next time you come back on, we can talk about some of that other stuff too.
For sure.
So, talk to me a little bit about your experience and from your perspective, because I definitely have mine, and I'm pretty sure you have yours. So let's just jump into it and tell me what your experience with social media has been like, as far as from the beginning, and then developing the audience that you've built over time, and how things change based on the beginning, middle, and then where you currently are.
Well, for sure, and I mean, it's weird because I don't think that you or me, I never expected to have any level of fandom ever doing what I do. I never thought that YouTube came along with that. At the time that I think we started and we kind of started doing this, it wasn't really a thing that YouTube was a popularity thing at all. Yeah. YouTube was just kind of a place you went to for information. So, when I started, I just liked gear and I liked guns and I wanted to give out that knowledge. And as it's built, and as YouTube and as kind of Instagram have changed, you've kind of seen a change of how people perceive you as being a content creator for YouTube. Because it used to be, it still is a joke, but it used to be, oh, what does he do? Oh, he's gonna be a musician, or he's gonna be a YouTube star. It's stuff where it's not taken seriously, but people, I found, take social media so seriously, and especially the last year or so, the way people have interacted with me has been anything from awesome to the most utterly bizarre interactions I've ever had in my adult life. And I'm sure you can speak to this, but it has been the most bizarre journey I have ever been on doing the social media thing.
Dude, like you hit the nail on the head. I definitely grew up in a generation where the idea and the notion of being a YouTube celebrity, so to speak, was like you said, it was like a running joke. It's like I remember one time I was at I went to a day party. I remember this like it was yesterday. This is like a Sunday, and this was like I hadn't even really got to the point where I am now, but I was up there, right? And I remember I was out and I had a girlfriend at the time, and so we kind of showed up,
Mhm.
and I remember one of the guys I went to a day party with. Then was another lawyer friend of mine. He was more established, and I kind of like would work under him and do stuff with him. And he had a
Yeah.
friend there, and somebody was asking him questions about with his friend. Somebody was asking his friends like, "Who is that guy?" Right? Because it looks familiar. And there were people coming up to me, saying,
Mhm.
and I overheard him, and my girlfriend at the time overheard him, and he was like, "Oh man, he just does that stupid YouTube shit." And I kind of looked over at him and shot him a look, and it is what it was. But I
Yeah.
almost kind of got where he was coming from, right? Because my
Yeah.
idea and concept of traditional celebrity was like you're a movie star, you're an athlete or
Yeah.
something of that nature. Not like a guy who runs his mouth on a camera on YouTube like that. In our minds, we have a very kind of, I guess, would be considered an antiquated notion of what a celebrity is now.
I,
So it's
I
definitely,
would
yeah.
suppose so. And and I'm sure you've gotten it. How many times have you been out? And and I don't. This is not humble brag or anything like this. To be
Hmm.
clear, it's just I want to point out to people how absurd this celebrity thing is, or treating people any differently. I'm a normal dude. I'm in the military. Like I'm like anybody else. Like there's nothing different about me except I record some of my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
But how many times have you been out in public, dude, and you see somebody look at you and like the look, There's this look, and it's something I've never seen in my life, and it's this look when a person recognizes you and kind of to some extent knows you, but you don't know them.
Yep.
And it's the most bizarre, odd way of interacting with a person I have ever had in my life.
It's incredibly what's the word I'm looking for? My mind wants to say insecure. It's not insecure. It's like the feeling is very exposed. That's how it feels.
It does.
Because
It does.
like you pointed out, it's like they know you don't know shit about them. But so it's like they have all the cards. It's kind of like dating where a girl knows she's gone and she's done her research. Like I've been on dates like this, and then they try to act like they don't know who you are. Stop
And
it.
she talks to your ex. She knows you.
Exactly. She knows you backwards and forwards, but you don't know she did that. And so then, but you kind of have this weird feeling like you're just exposed. And so it's like,
I
oh, okay.
Oh, and oh, dude, 1,000. And here's the thing, though. Like to be clear, of the interactions that I've had, maybe I would say a solid 90% are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like a solid 90% are somebody will come up and they'll be like, "Hey, I like your content. I think it's really cool, and it helped me, get more involved with the Second Amendment or something like that." And that's cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, awesome." Actually, I had a really cool one. A guy came up. I did that survival pack video,
Mm-hmm.
and no shit, he hit me up. And he goes, "Hey, dude, I was out hiking in the Arizona desert. I got lost and I almost died, but I survived because I packed some of the things that you told me to. I
Holy
had watched your video." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's cool." But then you have that small 10% of people, who come up and do something weird. So I'll tell you the first, I don't know, it was odd, but I was out vacationing in oh god, where was it? Up in Lake Louise, up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Lake Louise?
I,
Yeah,
I,
that really
I
beautiful
don't.
lake.
You asking the wrong person.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, you're good. You're good. And so I was up vacationing there. So a pretty small town up in Canada. And I was having lunch with my wife,
Mm-hmm.
and this two guys walked in and they saw me and they kind of did that double take look,
Yeah.
but they didn't come over, and that's fine. Like I'm not that type of guy who can come up and be like, me, that's stupid, but whatever.
who
But they
I am,
walked by and
dude?
they sat down. Yeah, but they sat down, and instead of coming up to me, they just proceeded to yell my name at me, and then they'd look away.
Stop it.
It was
Stop it.
Yeah, dude, I'm not even joking. So they kept yelling it, and then so I was like, oh, that's kind of awkward. So I got up to go talk to them, and they got up to like leave to like avoid me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, whatever. So I just went to the bathroom, and when I came out of the bathroom, the guy was there, and he like confronted me and like threw rumors at me about me and stuff. Like it was the most bizarre interaction I've ever had. I was like, wait, what? And I don't know, man. I'm not a celebrity. I don't consider myself a celebrity, but in that moment, I
Felt.
felt I tasted how awful it can be to to have that.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
it's the word I was looking for was exposed. Not yeah, that was the word. Like it just came to me.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like for me, like in one sense, when it happens and I am recognized out in public, it's very energizing, honestly, when people come up to you and it's the positive interactions and they're like, "Yo, dude, love your stuff. Thank you for the message and all this stuff like that." It energizes. It kind of reminds me, and it actually humbles me in a lot of ways. And I say, you know what? That's in large part why I do this, and I'm seeing the net positive that effect that it's having. At the same time, like you pointed out, there's some weirdos in the world that
Dude, there is. And go ahead.
No, you're fine. The interesting thing is, ironically enough, you probably get it more than I do because half the time people don't realize they're looking at me because I don't have a hat on. So I probably would get more recognized more often. Yeah, like the hat is like my Clark Kent glasses. Actually, the opposite. If I take the hat off, that's me. That's Clark Kent. When I put the hat on, that's Batman. That actually, see, I just got the characters wrong. That's actually
or Superman.
Yeah, you see where my biases are, right? As far as superheroes.
I do. But no, you bring up a good point because, like, I know the reason that me and you do this is because we want to change the narrative on how the Second Amendment is viewed, and we want to because there's a cultural war straight up being fought when it comes to the Second Amendment. And dude, straight up, getting the information out and having a normal opinion and normal videos about firearms is so powerful.
Very much so.
And so I love it when people come up and they're like, "Hey, I love that," and that's cool. It's just you get the weird stuff. And then here's the thing though. For me, it hasn't been that bad, to be honest. And I don't think so much for you either, but what I've seen is the same trend that you see in like mainstream social media occurring with like our little subset in the Second Amendment community. And that is this idea that if you have somebody you disagree with, what people will do is they'll search through people's histories. And if you at any point in your history have screwed up, and if they bring it up, it's like it just happened that very second. And then they use that to crucify this person. And it's the most insane straw man.
It's disingenuous as hell. Because we've all done it. We've all said things we probably shouldn't say. And I'm of the mindset, like people do change. People can change, but more importantly, people grow. And my mentality. I mean, I ran a blog when I was a lot younger, like in college, and it was a little moronic blog. It got kind of popular locally, and that was back when I was doing like the nightclub scene. And so basically, it was kind of like. I'm naturally an introvert, right? So here I am, this quasi club promoter who's a natural introvert at the club. So what do you think I'm doing at the club? I'm just observing shit. So, so I'm standing around watching the club dynamic and everything that's going on. So I was like, I'm gonna start a blog and just talk about this, the nightlife of where I am. And in that blog, in those posts, like I was pretty brash, and I'm pretty sure at some point, I'm pretty sure that might come up at some point, and it's gonna be like, "Whoa, he said this," and I'm more likely than not will not apologize for it because I understand the context in which I was writing and the mindset that I was writing in, considering my age at the time. But you're right. People are always looking for some way to crucify you for something that you've done in the past. Now, of course, there are levels, right? If it's incredibly egregious and you just kind of got away with something that you should have been crucified for, then yeah, that's different. Of course. But other than that, yeah, it's especially when you run into people who just don't like you. Speaking of that,
oh my God, yeah.
How, like a lot of people ask me this question, and so I'm going to ask it. I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you deal with the negative comments or the negative interactions that you do get? I mean, mainly online, but like, how do you deal with the negative comments? Because there are a lot of people, from my experience, one thing that I've noticed is people think because you're a public figure that you just have to take and swallow everything everyone throws at you. And I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like, I get it. I made, like my mom said, you made your bed and I lie in it. I understand that much. I'm a public figure, so I can't cry about people criticizing me. But I am allowed to snap back. I'm sorry. I just am.
Of course.
I try to keep it to a minimum, but I think it's only fair. If you're going to criticize me, I can criticize your critique. And
Oh, oh, I hit back hard on people too.
Exactly.
And that's actually a really good. That's a great question, man. And what it trying to think of a good way. So we'll kind of start here from the beginning.
Okay.
When I first started YouTube, when I had my small, core following from way back when I got, 300 views, and that was a big deal. Um, and it was all, when it's a small community, the comments are positive, and I still remember my first hateful comment. I don't remember what he said, but I remember I had a bad feeling in my stomach for a solid 2 days, and I couldn't get over it, and I couldn't understand why. And I've gotten social medias. I've gotten tons of bad comments since then.
Yeah.
And they used to hurt me a lot more than they do now. Now I just brush them off and I don't care anymore. But you know what somebody said to me recently? He was kind of starting to get big in the social media scene, and he hit me up because he was getting lots of hate and people saying mean things to him. He said, "Man, like how do you deal with this?" And the way I explained it to him was, I was like, the reason it feels so bad is because you're just publishing your opinion on a gun or a piece of product. And somebody is not going to, if you were to talk to somebody in person, if me and you were talking in person and you were to say, "Hey, I like the H&K USP, and this is what I think of it," I wouldn't be like, "Oh, you piece of fucking shit, fuck you." Because that makes no sense. That's not a normal human response. That's not something you'd expect to hear. So when you read that, before you kind of distance yourself from your social media and realize that it's not real, it feels real and it hurts and it feels personal, but it's not. It's just people who have nothing better to do with their time commenting.
Pretty much. Yeah. And it's,
I mean, what about you? How do you deal with that? So I've seen you strike back at people, and you strike back hard, and I love it. So, what is your journey been?
Here's what I find ironic. How, for the life of me, can you see the way that I go at politicians and the way I come at them, and not assume that if you come at me the same way, I won't have the same veracity coming at you? Like, it's like
are people surprised?
Sometimes I think they are. It's kind of like my entire growing up, all of my friends were assholes. I mean, certified, pathological assholes. And so
It made you a good person.
Exactly. I was raised in fire, right? And so and each of them had their own ability to kind of, they all had their kind of silver fork tongue in a way where, one of them was very good at using comedy to jab at you. Another one was just very fierce, So I learned to kind of navigate, and we were a group where all we cared about was basketball, girls, and just arguing. Those were the three things, right? So we would sit around.
Sounds pretty good,
right? We would sit around and just argue about the most mundane things, but so intensely. You think we were you would think that we were discussing quantum physics, or how to save the world, and it'd be like, those particular shoe colors are ugly, and here's why. And I learned that I actually crafted and tailored my ability to argue by interacting with them. So
interesting.
Yeah. So when it comes to people coming back, making negative comments and things of that nature, I know the difference between a critique and a just as plain out diss. I know the difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can respect a well thought out critique, and well thought out doesn't mean it has to be super long, right? It's just you make a poignant thought, and I'm okay with that. But again, I'm allowed to criticize you for it. I'm allowed to critique your critique, and so for me, when I see something, and the things that make me the most mad, because I do respect genuine critique, is when people try to mask genuine critique, try to mask an insult with genuine critique. Them trying to give it the appearance of a genuine critique, and really, no, this is just an insult. And that's when you see me smack hard. The problem with me doing that is I end up, since I have the platform, since I have so many people following me, and the other person doesn't, it's very easy to come across as the bully. Especially when people, they see your response and they don't have the full context, or they don't realize, no, this person has been kicking me under the table for the last 30 minutes. And so now I'm just finally lashing out as a result of it. But you're only seeing my response, and you never saw what they did to evoke that response.
Exactly. You know, the way I explain it to people too is you have this platform, so anybody can hop in there and say something.
Hmm.
And for the most part, everybody with their comment wants to be recognized. They
Yeah.
want to be known. And so for a lot of people, this is their chance. And their chance for right now, especially in social media, is by an insult. And so you have, some couple thousand people every time you post making their shot.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. So when people ask me what it's like imagine a couple thousand people every day taking their shot at you. And I understand I do social media and I get it, but it's very it wears on
Yeah,
you very
especially when you're trying to
quickly.
stay connected to your audience by reading the comments, right? I could just as easily act like
Yeah,
some of the celebrities, the real, like who I consider real good celebrities in my mind.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, things like that. People like that, they can simply just ignore it. They can ignore it. Or I wouldn't
Yeah,
even put Joe Rogan in that space because he's a very much a grassroots audience builder. You know what I mean? So he has.
I thought that he didn't read his comments.
Oh, I thought he did. I think he did at one point and then he
I
stopped.
might be wrong. And then he stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
they got
Yeah, because people tell me
wild.
that all the
Yeah.
time. They're like, just stop reading your comments. And I'm like, I know, but because it's like I remember like I built this audience one person at a time. Now I don't mean like I did it on my own. I had help in terms of, certain
Of
people
course.
blasting me. Like, I mean, I remember one of my biggest spikes was when Travis Haley mentioned me. And that was
I
years
remember
ago.
that.
Yeah. And so, so I have, you being his son and all, you know that. So, so from that perspective, like I have this kind of attachment to my audience where I still want to be able to interact with them on a level that I did when I just had 300 or 400 followers. And how realistic that
Agreed.
is I don't know. That's to be determined. But that's why it's so hard for me to just not read my comments. Like I still do, not as much as I used to, but when you do read them, like you said, it builds up over time because you're going to come across the negatives, and the negatives, even though the good are way more than the bad, like it's
Yep.
kind of like being on a road, right? And then it's like every 2 miles is like this major pothole. And generally speaking, the road is perfect, but there's like every 2 miles, boom.
Yep.
You're like, okay, the first one's fine, boom. The second one's fine, third, boom. Okay, it's starting to get a little annoying. And then you're driving along, and now the pothole's like maybe 4 miles, boom. And you're like, all right. And then finally, that one pothole, you're just like, fuck! You know what I mean? So it's definitely
And you
something that
know
builds
that
up over time.
and that is so true. And I'm the same way, man, where I built up, well, again, not like, we didn't build it
Yeah.
ourselves, it's because, we had great communities
Yep.
and that attracted people. But it comes, and so I like to feel very connected to my audience. And I do the same thing. I read all my comments pretty much, all thousand of them, what is it, like eight or
I
9,000
know.
per
It's
video. And
nuts.
I read them.
Yeah.
I read them, man, because I like to hear what people say. And like you said, like I get a lot of great comments, a lot of really well thought out criticism on my thoughts and my reviews, and I love that. And
Yeah.
I comment on those, and I thank them for the information, and I consider it, and I take it in, and I digest it, and I look at it because it's important to be critical of yourself.
Yep.
It's important as a content creator or as a reviewer to make sure that you're being non-biased and you're getting good information. But man, like you said, you get those guys needling you, looking for their 15 minutes of fame, and it's like,
Oh, and you know what's the craziest? Here's what I've noticed a pattern, and I'm picked up on it now. It took me a second, but then I realized it. There'll be what I'm noticing a lot. People will say negative stuff to get your attention, and then when you smack back
yep,
at them, they're like, "No, no, no, dude, I'm your biggest fan." I'm like, "Wait, what? Like that's not how this works." like, so it's like you like don't like it's like I'm not a girl. Like you don't chase me by punching
yeah.
me and hitting me because you have a crush on me, hoping that'll make me like you. Like stop doing that.
Dude. Well, and that isn't that the issue, because I'll post up my dumb comments, ones that I actually think are people who just don't know what they're talking about. But every once in a while, somebody will say something so off the wall and so mean, I'll hit them back, and they'll immediately be like, "Oh, I was pretending to be stupid. I love you," and I'll be like, "Why?" like, like I feel like I'm dealing with children sometime. But that's it. Here's the weirdest thing that's happened to me so far.
Uh huh.
Very recently, God, I don't know if I should say this out loud. We're just gonna say it. We're gonna go with it.
Okay.
All right. So, Sons of Liberty Gunworks,
Mm.
Mike. I love Mike. He is a great guy in the community, and he does amazing things. And you know what? He had a little bit of a rough patch when he was younger.
Uh-huh.
I mean, shit, dude. Who didn't?
Yeah.
You know. And so people brought up the stuff that he had already was in his past and stuff as a way to take him down, because I can't remember the reason, but there was a reason, something that he had done, whether he had sold to law enforcement or something.
Mhm.
And so people used some past thing to strike him down. So I posted, and I said what I told you and what you've already said, which is you're not who you were in the past. You know,
Yeah.
you are who you are now. You know, and you're not who you want to be. You are precisely who you act like now and what you say you are. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm a big believer in that you are what you are at the moment. And so I made the post. I'm like, hey, listen, what he does now, this is who he is, you know? And I actually had a guy found a police report from 2012 from a guy who had a similar name to mine.
Mhm.
And this guy had like hit his wife, and he actually posted it around all social media and said that I had hit my wife and children, and that I was
wow.
a wife beater and stuff.
Yeah.
And started spreading around, and then so everyone started picking up on this. And I actually had guys DM me and say, you fucking beat your wife and you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
That's
Jesus
what-
Christ. That is nutty.
horrible, man.
Ugh.
And it's like, what do you, because I mean, here's the thing, you acknowledge this, you give them that fame that they
Yeah.
so heavily desire.
Yeah.
But you don't say anything. So I spent like a day or two stamping this out and talking to people and being like, no, it's not my name. I never lived there. First off, like this is crazy. Like I can't be in the
Not me.
military with the clearances that I have with that type of crime having ever been committed in my past.
Yeah.
Dude. But the point is that people will do anything to try to discredit you nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, people make a lot of fuss about, you know, the left doing terrible things, but dude, I see just the same things on our side as well.
No, sadly, I do too. And it's
no different, man.
what I've noticed that there's an element. And I don't think it's exclusive to the online 2A content creator community, but there is some enjoyment that I think a lot of people get from watching the fall after the rise. Right? You know what I mean? It's like, like watching the rise is fun, right? But there comes a point where there are a group of people who was like, all right, you've had your time. Now we're gonna destroy you and watch the beauty of you fall.
Now you're done.
Right? And so it's like, I'm like, all right, good luck. Like it's because, and one thing people don't understand is like, I don't fear things like that because I am literally who I am. I may have a fake surname in terms of, Colion Noir is not being my real legal name, but that's probably the only thing fake about me. I literally am who I am. Like, this is who I am, what you see. It may not be the entirety of my personality, right? But I mean, how much of that can I convey over the camera, but 20, 30 minutes at a time, right? But so there is no, we're going to expose him. Expose me for what? Expose me for being the guy that I am? Like it doesn't concern, like it really just doesn't bother me in that manner. But what bothers me is just the thrill that I think some people get in watching watching people who've built something and seeing it fall. Like I don't ever enjoy seeing someone go through something negative, even if I don't like them as a person. I still wouldn't. I don't enjoy watching their fall. It's not fun to me. So it's just weird to me that there are some people and personalities that like to see that.
It's a terrible thing. And I mean, speaking of falls, I don't know why I've been so hot on it lately, but what's his name? Kyle, FPS Russia.
Yeah.
Dude, he talk about a guy who got hit hard. And got taken out. Like that was crazy, man.
Yeah.
People ask me about that a lot. I'm like, it's worrisome because he was clearly targeted.
Yeah.
In what he did. And that's it feels targeted. It feels targeted, like I don't even know what to say about it, but like it feels targeted because when I look at somebody who helped bridge that gap between normal, normal people who maybe necessarily didn't like guns or maybe they were young and they didn't know much to, hey, guns are cool. You can own one. This is your right. Like, he was a great example. And, love him, hate him. I mean, you talk to a gun guy, they'll be like, oh, fuck that guy or whatever.
Even
But
though
you know what?
even though they have an
He made
entire
it funny.
playlist of his videos in their YouTube.
He popularized guns for many people.
He did.
And talk about a guy, and talk about a guy who was taken out, dude. And it's like, I mean, it's social media in a different way, but God,
it was nutty.
Awful. I think about that stuff.
Because it's scary. And I mean, I even think about the fact that I have, like, I know, like, I have, especially with me in regards to the, like, political area of things that I do with the Second Amendment, I know I have some very, very powerful enemies that I don't even know who they are, and it's kind of creepy to realize, because it's like, I'm not, like, I don't have 24 hours security. I mean, I live in one of the most populated areas in freaking Dallas. So it's like, I don't have the covering or protection, so to speak, as someone who's a legit celebrity has, right? And then I don't know how I'm going to be attacked. I mean, there have been several attempts at attacking me. I remember one of the biggest ones I had was when there was this blog site, and they wrote this article that I was like a pawn or some type of plant, that I was just this overprivileged rich kid. Yeah, I know. Because, like, my dad was an executive chef who cooked for President Bush and Oprah, and I'm like, that's because he was a chef at a hotel. Like, it's kind of like, it's like, what do you mean? Like, if they came to that hotel, like, yes, he technically was their chef who prepared the food for them at that hotel. And what they did in an attempt to out me was put out my mom's address, put out my dad's address, put out my address, and anyone associated with me, or they thought was associated with me. Now, putting out my address, I don't like it, but okay, I can handle myself, right? My dad, when I told my dad, he was like, whatever. I mean, rip. He's not here any longer. But when he was alive, he was just like, let him come. My mom, on the other hand, was the one that really concerned me, because my mom, she lived by herself. I didn't like that. So I legitimately asked him. I was like, look, you can leave up all my information, but can you take off my mom's? And they refused to. So
why?
I don't, because they were trying to destroy me, essentially, I guess, in their minds. I think I've always had the sneaking suspicion, and I kind of went into this on when I went on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, the other side really tries to ignore me because they don't really know how to attack me. See, it's kind of easy for them to, like, say, for instance, if you were doing the more political stuff on a consistent basis, they would find ways to attack you because you're a white male. That, like, seems to be in right now. Attack all the white men.
Oh yeah.
And so they would come at you and all type. They'd find any little thing you did and make you out to be a racist, so forth and so on, and try to invalidate you in that manner. They don't like me because they can't really do that. My skin's a little too dark.
It's a little difficult to attack you.
Yeah.
White.
You know what I'm saying? And they can't actually make me out to be a FUD because I run around with Gucci Glocks every 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's hard for them to really craft a fake story to attack me. And then on top of that, I cross borders. Like, I'll do an interview with Killer Mike. I'll go on Joe Rogan. I'll be on good God, I can't believe I forgot his name. Bill Maher, things of that nature. So it's like, no, you can't get the message outside of your little circle. Stop it. And so they'll try to figure out a way to attack me, but they can't. There's really no way for them to do it, which scares me because I'm like, well, shit, how far are they going to go to try to do, to really kind of shut me up if it comes to that point?
I can't believe that they released the address for your mom.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
That is such a low thing to do.
So low, man.
It's
but then
mom.
I know. But then that's when I kind of got my first foray into understanding the mentality of these people. Like, they are really disgusting people. Yeah. Like, they really are. Like, they are very much a win at all cost, no prisoners taken kind of mindset. And I'm like, that's really disgusting.
Well, I mean, you bring up a really good point about them wanting to win, because we have an issue with what we do. All the media that we post on, man, it's not friendly to what we do.
Not at all.
Not at all. I posted a video on gun control. I really don't stray into it too much, but I did. And at first day, it hit like 230K views, and then stopped dead in the water. There's not been a view since.
Yeah. Welcome.
Here's the problem is that YouTube and Google and all of them, they're private companies.
Yeah.
And I get that. and I am all for companies should be able to govern what they do, but it becomes tricky when these private companies are the purveyor of all information.
Yep. Very tricky.
When does it become, the rights of a company to be a private entity versus, when is this public domain? When are we going to look at this and be like, all information is pretty much flowing from this company like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely.
the problem. I just don't know how we go about it.
And then the crazy thing is, sometimes what I'll get, like I got a little heat from people for being on TikTok. TikTok is slightly different because it's the whole China thing. So I actually kind of get where they're coming from. At the same time, I have seen people who are like, like the whole thing with Mr. Guns and Gear, right? It's like, well, screw Facebook. You don't need them anyway. Like, yeah, we do actually. We do. You only know about me because of the platform that we're on right now that you're telling me to screw. And it's people a lot. There are some people, I'm not gonna say a lot or all, but there are some people who don't understand that. Like, but for these platforms, you would not be aware of us. Like it just is what it is. And you're not. People always say, "Well, start your own platform." See, here's the problem with that. It's unsustainable. Unless you have somebody who literally had hundreds of millions to throw at the support required to have your own platform that's solely dedicated to firearms, it's unsustainable monetarily. You're going to be losing money out of the ass because it's like
you can't just buy it.
Yeah, right. You're going to run into the same exact issues that we're running into now, because it's like, okay, so where are the ad sponsors going to come from? Because it's got to generate revenue in order to sustain itself, and then it's got to make enough revenue over just sustaining itself to make it worth people to make the content, right? So.
Yeah,
it's people don't realize how important these platforms are.
They don't realize how much infrastructure goes into a streaming video site. Like I can't make a buy a host monster web address and host videos. Like, you're not going to have the bandwidth that you can. But the biggest issue is exposure, man. Just like you talked about. I could move to any of these other YouTube alternatives are out there. I think the biggest one being Vimeo, but Vimeo, what is it, like 1/8 of the viewers that YouTube has?
I mean, I have a Vimeo myself, and I'm even paying for like the professional version, and I still don't upload to it. And another thing people don't realize is the amount of time and effort that goes in just uploading videos. Like, I can make a video, and just the upload process of uploading it to YouTube, uploading it to Facebook, uploading it to Twitter, uploading it to Instagram, uploading it to TikTok, all of those platforms takes hours just to upload the video after I've spent hours putting it together, right?
This is true.
Yeah. So now I throw on Vimeo. And then let's say I decide to do a Patreon. Now I gotta throw on Patreon. Then let's say I decide to do Twitch. Throw on Twitch. Now that just adds hours to my day where I'm not creating new content. Right? Like, I remember the days in YouTube where all I did was YouTube, and it was beautiful because I literally could just focus on producing content, and then upload content. Upload. Now it's like content, upload, content, upload. You get what I'm saying? So it's.
Comments.
Exactly, right? And then on top of that, all these platforms aren't the same. So I have to go back and re-edit. Well, I have to edit the video pretty much 3 times, because I have to edit the video for YouTube. Yeah. Then I have to edit it for the parameters of TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. Yep. They're all different. So it's like, whew. And so now it's like, you want me to go to another platform and engage in the same manner of behavior, only to have a fraction of the audience I had on the other platforms? It's like, it doesn't make sense. If the whole point is to get the message out there, it doesn't make sense to leave the platform that has all the eyeballs.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. What you just said. Yeah. If it doesn't have the eyeballs, and it's not that we're chasing views, but it's like, again, the whole point is we need to get the message out. We need to change the way it's looking, because if we're being honest, social engineering, and if people aren't aware of what that is, it's something to definitely research. Yep. We are losing to social engineering very badly.
Very badly.
We are losing very badly. And social engineering is crushing us right now. Yeah. And
it is.
We need more voices. Yeah. Dude, social engineering is a whole different ball game. Have you talked to any of those guys who do it?
No, I haven't. I probably need to. But
I would highly. So
Damn, man. You are the second episode. Can you just give me some time?
Okay, let me touch on it for one.
No, go ahead. Have at it. Platform's all yours.
So I talked to a couple of social engineers. So if you're not aware of what it is, it's essentially engineering the way you think and the way you view topics. They do this in a variety of ways, and you're probably already aware of it. They will create fake accounts, and they will have what look like legitimate followers. They will comment, and they will comment you away to oblivion on Facebook or Instagram. They will go to rallies. They will look like what fits in at those rallies, or if they're not supposed to fit in, they'll look like that. The point is, they interact in both, through the internet or in real life, and they're made to change the way you think in a variety of ways. And it is a huge, huge business. They are huge firms of people typing away and commenting things into oblivion. And this is a real thing, and people don't realize it, that when you're getting shouted down, sometimes you have a good idea, but you're being shouted down
by fake accounts. Yeah.
It's craziness.
No,
it's pure craziness.
It's nutty, but that's why it's so important. Like, do I want everybody to think like me as far as the Second Amendment is concerned? Yes. I want you to all be my mental slaves. Believe everything I say to the degree that I believe. At the same time,
abolish the NFA.
Right? No, seriously.
No, for real.
Yeah. It's so odd to me when people think that I don't want that. Like, I was like people who literally think that I'm against abolish. Like, I don't want the NFA to exist. I have multiple cans sitting in jail right now that I don't understand why I have to have mufflers sitting in jail, and I have to pay $200 tax stamp. For anyone to think that I believe otherwise, it's insane to me. I guess it's my perceived time at the NRA, and people are like, "Oh, you're just a FUD." I'm like, do I look like a FUD to you? That being said, and we can get into all that next time you're on. But
yeah, of course.
God damn it, where was I going? See, you made me lose my train of thought.
You're good, man. You're good. We were we got to the end of social.
Gotcha.
Like
okay, so as much as I would love everybody to think exactly like me, more importantly, what I want to instill in people is the ability to develop independent thought. And I think one of the main reasons why you get a lot of groupthink or people who only want to think a certain way one way is because they're scared of being wrong. I do not fear challenging my belief system. Bring it on. I'm very much like, if I have a conversation with somebody about firearms and they ask me a particular question, I'm like, okay, let's go there. And I think, and for me, with the way conversations are structured now, it's not really conducive. It's not really a strategy that's conducive to conveying a message. So, for instance, when I went on Bill Maher and I was at the round table and she mentioned the thing about universal background checks. And I was like, all right, how are you going to enforce it? See, my mindset was, okay, I'll go wherever you want to go. I don't have to dictate the argument. I'll let you frame it. I'll let you construct it. I have that much faith in what I believe. And I'm not afraid to be wrong about it if you have a legitimate response to what I ask you. And I'm like, okay, let's go there. So how are you going to enforce it? And of course, boom, shut down. Boom, audience like, oh my God. And it's like, to the discerning eye, they know, okay, but that means they don't have an answer, right? So, but to the unobserving eye, they're like, oh, this freaking guy is impossible. Yeah. No, I just want people to develop the ability to think independently. That doesn't mean that you become like a intellectual nihilist where you just don't believe in anything. It's just be able to have a thought and be willing to challenge that, have people challenge that thought. And if you don't know, be able to tell yourself, I don't know this. I probably need to go get more information about it and then come back to this conversation. People are unwilling to do that because nobody wants to look like they're wrong. I don't care about looking like I'm wrong. Sure, I could be a little cocky and I would like to think that I know everything, but I also know that I don't. So I will probably.
I mean, in the age of the internet, with information literally at your fingertips, people feel like you shouldn't ever be wrong in your life, and if you are wrong, then you're clearly an idiot. You know? Yes. But it's a crazy notion. It's a crazy notion that you always have to be right, and it's created the problem that we have with argument sound, the groupthink that you talked about. Yep. The most interesting people that I've ever met or I've ever talked to are good at arguing, whether they argue against points that they believe in because they're just good at arguing. And arguing is not shouting down.
Exactly.
It's avoiding logical fallacies and logically looking at data and thinking about it, you know. And it's important that we have these skills. And yeah, 1000%, man. I want more people to have this critical, you know. I mean, how many times has somebody parroted something that you've said in a video, and even though it's what you believe, you're like, come on, man, like, think for yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like
1000%.
Yeah, I put out videos. I deliberately make my videos in a manner for people to utilize it to formulate their own arguments whenever they're talking or engaging other people. That's the purpose. Not for you to just parrot me, but to formulate the way in which you communicate your beliefs based on how I went about doing it. Because I pull from other people. There are a lot of videos where I'll start writing and working on a script for the video, but then I'll say, you know, let me call this person, and I'll have just a conversation with them about the topic to see if there's a more nuanced way of approaching it. And then sometimes I'll call people who I know will not agree with me and then listen to them and see, all right, am I missing something? Am I undervaluing something or overvaluing something? And so for me, that is me trying to construct what I believe to be a very genuine, a very genuine position on an issue that I truly, truly care about. And so I just want more people to be able to do that. I'm not saying I'm special. I'm just saying that I learned that from other people who were better than me at communicating thought, and I learned that from them. And you know what I mean. And so I've been able to better myself that way. So I want other people to be able to do the same. And so, but it's
1000%, man. Dude, I hit up people who disagree with me all the time for the very same reason, man, because I think that critical argument with somebody and looking at it from a different perspective is so vitally important, and especially when we're putting out information.
Absolutely.
When you're trying to put out good, unbiased information, it's so important to have that opposing viewpoint. Like, I don't want to call somebody and they'd be like, yeah, that sounds good, man. No.
It kind of annoys me when that happens. I'm like, really? Like, that's it?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that's good, bro. That's really good. I'm like, no, it's not. Come on. Well, everybody, like you said, nobody wants to be wrong. No one wants to be confrontational in person. So it's hard to get somebody to look at your information that you're putting out critically, and especially as I've gotten larger in social media.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it goes for you too, where people don't want to disagree with you, but I'm like, dude, I can be just as wrong. I'm the same guy.
Yeah.
I can be just as wrong.
Yep. And I want to be proven wrong because I like to explore my thoughts, you know, like, and don't get me wrong. When I'm proven wrong, it's hard to accept. Oh man, it's hard. It's really hard. But I know, I know, right? But I have to do it. I just have to. I just know it just from a development of, like, I consider myself wanting to get to the point of, good gosh, I lost the turn phrase that I was going to use. Not enlightenment. Not
it's on the tip of your tongue.
I know, right? Like, I just keep forgetting these thoughts. It's not enlightenment, but
total knowledge,
self-actualization.
I like it.
Yeah, that's kind of that is a goal I chase. Now, I probably will never reach it, but it is definitely something that I strive for, and I can't do that if I'm not honest with myself and look at my flaws, the things that I lack. Things that I can't do, would like to do, and look at them honestly and say, all right, you're not any good at that. You might want to improve on that. Or if you're not going to improve on it, accept the fact that you suck at it. You know what I mean?
Oh, 1,000. Well, dude, 1,000%. Something as simple as making a video.
Yeah.
Filming yourself shooting. Like, think about how many wonderful shooters there are in the world, how many accomplished top people there are, and you're here on video. I'm nowhere even close to being top 20% of the world in shooting. And I'm shooting and being watched by tons of people. And so, dude, criticism. So one thing that I've done, and what a lot of people don't understand, is I have two people with me on the range when I film. I've got my filmer, and then I've got my guy who just criticizes the fuck out of me. It's a super angry 10-year Army vet, dude. Great shooter.
Yeah.
And, dude, I'll do a drill. And I'd do a drill, and I would look at my guy and be like, hey, how is it? He's like, oh, great. But I don't want that, you know? I don't. Yeah. I do this drill, and the guy's like,
what the hell is that?
Oh, cool. It's 2010 back in vogue now. Great technique, you know? And he hits me hard, but he keeps me honest with myself.
Yep.
and he
Yep.
says, "Hey, listen, you didn't do this well. Here's how you improve." And we'll take a couple, take like a minute while while the camera guys kind of switch out memory cards, and I get better at it.
Yep.
Because it's important to have that critical look at yourself, and like you got to have somebody who's honest with you, and it's hard to find, man. It's so hard
No,
to
no,
find.
you're dead on. Like I started. What I tend to do is I'll have like my range days when I'm not filming are designed for me to go and do whatever training I can with the guy who owns the range that I go to. Very accomplished shooter.
Yes, that video that was really cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, that video's been like years in the making. He actually initially told me, like, you're good, just go shoot and do whatever you do. I don't need no pub. And I was like, dude, just let me know whenever we can do the video. And so that time came, and so I went ahead and did the video for him. But I've been going to the range for years now, and he's largely responsible in a lot of ways for the way that I shoot a handgun. And
Very cool.
so I still go there and I tighten up on fundamentals. Like the other day, I called him. I was like, "Yo, I'm coming by for about 30 minutes. I just need to tighten up on fundamentals. I need to work on transitions, things of that nature. Because I'm not a competition shooter. I'm not prior military. I'm just a guy that loves to shoot, and I want to get better at it as best I can. And I also at the top of the food chain, above anything else, I have to look sexy on camera. So I have to have the baby oil.
At the very top, we gotta look cool.
But in all seriousness, I admire that you have somebody there with you that can critique you and not let you be consumed by your own ego. Because I'll also speak for myself. Everyone has an ego. It's just a matter of how much of it consumes you. And when you have people telling you you're awesome all the time via social, it's easy for that ego to start to grow and get out of control. And so I try to do my best to mitigate that and keep it tempered. Here, stay over there, doggy, and ignore it for the most
Now,
part.
I got a question for you when it comes to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question for you. Have you ever looked through your videos and watched a video from a year ago and cringed at yourself?
I go through videos. I go through videos that I filmed 2 weeks ago and cringe. It's bad, man.
I am my worst critic. I hate myself when I watch my old videos,
And
or even a video from a week ago.
I'm telling you, man. Like you're right. You're totally right. Because it's like people will criticize me. I'm like, you do realize I'm 10 times worse on myself than you could ever be towards me. Like I look at my videos and I'm like, God, you're disgusting. Oh my God, look at the way you're holding. Oh my God, you're gross. Like my self-talk is so toxic. Like I don't know why I even like myself.
Why does your head look that way? Why does your head look like that? Why do you hold your mouth that way?
I know, right?
What are you doing?
It's like stop mouth breathing, you weirdo. But
it is so awful.
It's nuts, man. But it's one of those things you can only really appreciate if you do it. You know what I mean? Like if you're consistently filming yourself to the degree that we are. Like I tell people all the time, I now understand why celebrities are some of the most insecure people on the planet. Because when you film yourself to that degree, you're literally legitimately under a microscope, not only as far as other people, but yourself. Because there are a lot of people who are very confident, and the only time they see themselves is when they walk past the mirror. Now imagine doing a 30-minute video about something, and then you're forced to watch yourself for 30 minutes in a manner in which you've never really saw yourself before. You're going to start
every kick, every mouth breathe, every time you breathe, your weird way you swallow, your spit, like just stupid stuff.
You're like, oh God, why do people like me?
It's like hearing yourself on a recording. It is good though.
Yeah.
It is good, and this is why I encourage people to do the Instagram thing, because I have become a way better shooter from watching myself shoot.
Absolutely. Like I noticed that I'm a stiff wall when I shoot, and I've learned to kind of start relaxing my shoulders a little bit and not be so uptight. Be the male version of Karen. But but yeah, I think, and then as much criticism as we give these platforms, at the same time we love them because I don't know where we would be without them. Like I think too easily we overlook the good that they do. They do. There was a lot of negative, but there was so much good that I'm like I will never wish that they didn't exist.
I dude, absolutely. The amount of good things that have come out of this, like, I don't know about you, man, but like, dude, I feel so lucky to be in the position that I'm in. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to be able to do what I do and to love what I do. Like at no point do I ever look at social media and I'm like, oh fuck. Every day I'm like,
Yeah.
God, I love this. I love
Yep.
doing what I do. I love interacting with the community is just beyond cool.
Yep.
Like as a whole, the community is beyond cool. Like going to SHOT Show. I mean, as weird as it gets out there, like I love it, man. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
Just because I can see you. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
only reason I want to go.
But of course, sweetheart. Oh, much obliged. Man, no, but you're totally right, man. It's a lovely thing. Even in days where I'm like, there's some nights, man, I'm just like, I'm done with this shit, man. I'm done. And I'll pour up a glass or something, sit down, and I'm like, I'm done. And the next morning, I'm like completely reinvigorated. I'm like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? It's very much
a couple Warzone games, you're good to go.
Yeah, right. But yeah, man, it's I love it. I love my audience. I love the people that have supported me up until this point. I love all the new people that are and that's another thing too. I realized you reach a point sometimes where you forget half your audience only knows you from like a year ago.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it's like,
dude, true. The context.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking I'll do stuff like my mindset. I'll forget. I'll think, okay, no, these are the same people that have been with me since like 10, 15 years ago. And they're like, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, because people are asking me questions. I'm like, dude, I did that video like 6, 7 years ago. And I realized half these people only know me because of Instagram. Like they don't even watch my YouTube videos. You know what I mean? And so it's weird. And I have to keep reminding myself that. So you constantly almost have to always be in a state of newness. You know what I mean? Like you can't get comfortable with stuff you've already done. You kind of always have to almost find new ways to talk about stuff you've already talked about for the new people who are following you now.
I mean, I did a re-review of the FAL OSW. It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And out of all those comments, I'm sure there were a bunch of people who didn't say anything. But I got maybe 2 comments. They're like, "Wait, you reviewed this already?"
Yep.
But the rest of the people were like, "Oh, this is cool. I've never seen this before."
Yeah.
And it's because people don't go through your old videos.
Nah, they don't.
I mean, some do.
If they fall into that rabbit hole where they're like, "Oh, I love this," and "Oh, I love this," and then they'll just end up watching hours. I get messages like that from people all the time, and you're right. I actually posted. I had to take down my HK MR556 video, the SBR, and because YouTube, I got like a copyright strike for something that violated their community guidelines or some shit like that, and so I had to go back through all my entire catalog of videos, gun videos, and basically delete the ones that I thought may be in violation, even though they weren't, but they could be interpreted as being in violation. And that HK MR556 one was one of those videos. So I took it down, made the requisite changes, posted it again. And I mean, that video had like almost 400,000 or 500,000 views. And so I had to delete it, repost it again. And then just like you, a lot of people were like, "You've done this already." And then there's like just as many people who were like, "Oh, this is awesome. Oh, this is great." So yeah, you hit a point where, the people who were with you are still there, but then you get in like this new audience who doesn't know anything about you past the last year and a half.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true, man. And that's the beauty of it, is getting that newer, younger audience. That's everything that I strive for, because you want those younger dudes to come in and to learn, man. Like nothing better when I get a message and a guy's like, "Hey, yo, like I'm XYZ. I can't buy a gun yet, but dude, as soon as I can, I'm gonna buy a gun." So that's really cool.
Yeah,
like,
I love those messages.
Yeah, dude. There we go.
Yeah.
We got one. We have another guy who understands his rights. Like how cool is that?
Yep.
I mean,
no, I think, man, it's a long road, but I think it's worth it, especially when we get those comments and those messages like that.
I agree.
And I think it really fuels us to keep just kind of pushing along and keep chugging along in the manner in which we do.
Dude. Yeah, 1,000% agreed.
Well, I don't want to hold you too long, man, because we can go on for hours. So, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for joining me as my second episode. No, absolutely. Now, keep in mind you will be back. There's a lot of things that we can be talking about.
Of course, man. I would love to be on again. We'll talk guns.
Absolutely.
It'll be a good time.
Absolutely, man. But really, really appreciate it, man. I love your video. Love your content. I've actually been watching your videos long before you realize I did. and it was really awesome to see someone put forth the effort and the attention to detail that you do. And like a lot of times your videos inspire me to do other videos that I otherwise wouldn't do. So
Dang, dude.
appreciate that, man.
Well, I get the warm fuzzy right there. Well, same thing, man. I listen for your voice. Like I just want to hear it. So
Oh, shut up.
Poetic.
This is the silent noir.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, brother. Look forward to talking to you again. Right now, there's a war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can help do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and clicking the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice, and let them know you want to keep America tactical, because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your All Guns Are Essential, I Will Not Comply, I Am the Militia, I Lost All My Guns in a Boating Accident, and your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirts, click the link next to my head or the link in the description section, or if you're watching this on a mobile, tap the small triangle on the lower right-hand side of this video and click the link in the description section.